balls to the wall.
You have not been clever yet?
Balls to the wall. Yes, balls to the wall.
Yeah, that's great.
Roll with that. All right.
I know puck's not a ball, but alright, I'll go with it.
But it still can be considered, I guess. So let's go with that.
It's like the only sport that doesn't use a ball. Let's just go for it.
Yeah, let's just go for
But
it.
it takes balls to play it.
That is true.
And they get slammed on those little fucking walls constantly. So
Yeah. There you go.
There you go. There you go. Balls to the wall.
For the win. What's up, guys? Welcome to the first episode, the first edition of LNL Balls to the Wall. I love that name so much. It's so radio friendly. So I got my boys here from the Lift Libations podcast, Patrick and Adrian. But we got two new additions to it here. They're coming in for the Balls to the Wall podcast. And go ahead and introduce yourself, y'all, starting with...
My name is Manny. I'm pretty much the accountant for a local country bar here in El Paso. And I handle all the owner's accounts, everything from the bars that he owns, his other local businesses, and nighttime drinker.
Well, what brings you here? Why did I choose you to be on Balls to the Wall?
I believe I called you out on it, I think, for sports.
Yeah, I said I was going to start a podcast about sports, and then he said he was like kind of butthurt that he wasn't going to be on it. Sorry. And then I was like, okay, cool. Then I'll start a whole new one, and here we are doing that. So that's what's up. So I brought you on because you're a fan of
hockey, football, and somewhat of soccer. So, football.
Football. All right. And then next we got our guru, our information guy, the guy who knows information.
he doesn't even need to be he's our Google guy without the computer.
Exactly.
He is Google.
Yeah. Soon to be the sportscaster for the UTEP.
I'm going to be doing play-by-play for UTEP hockey along with some journalism stuff for the club team this year.
All right.
That's nice. Cool. Congratulations.
What's your name?
My name is Josh Marin. I'm a fan of all things sports. A lot of Dallas area, Rangers, Stars, Mavericks, but then I'm a Buccaneers fan. Have been since I was a kid. And then Arsenal fan. I love Arsenal more than I love any team in the world. So
huge Cowboys fan, right?
No, don't like.
Because you live in Texas, you have to like the Cowboys, right?
Don't like the Cowboys.
No, that's not how it works. Oh shit, I was lied to then. All right.
Tony Romo's his favorite quarterback of all time.
That's not true because I'm a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. So yeah,
he's got a Tony Romo body pillow.
No, Tony Romo body tattoo.
Kind of like a Steve-O tattoo.
Yeah. So that's what's up. So now, just to get you like a little precursor to the podcast. So Josh is a know-all. So we're going to do soccer, and then we're going to touch in a little bit about football. But not a lot of us are well-versed in this, but Josh is well-versed in all things. So he's going to be kind of like guiding us along to this shit. But so what I want to do right now is go around because we're going to follow the Premier League. That's going to be our main bread and butter when it comes to soccer. So I want us all to state our team, and then I want Josh to kind of go into like what they're about. So starting with Adrian, because he's pointing at me like a dick ass. What is your team?
Wow, you're a dick. So I've been asking Josh about 7 different times if I'm pronouncing this right, so I hope I am. So Leicester City.
Leicester City, you got it.
So what's the deal with Leicester City, bruh?
So I was reading a little bit about it, and it seemed like they had a bit of a varied history. It seems like, and then you kind of corroborated that. It seems like they have on, I believe, 2 or 3 occasions fallen out of the Premier League and managed to claw their way back into it. So it seems like they have some fight to them. I was seeing some of the expectations of them coming out on top on the victories, and they seem kind of like an underdog team, but a team that has fight in them. And so I feel like it would be a good set of games to watch. Like I'm not going to be disappointed watching them play.
Absolutely. You're going to see a lot of counterattack football, which is always exciting. They're going to absorb a lot of the attack and then have a lot of speed up front, try to get the ball up quick and catch the bigger teams off guard. And they'll bully smaller teams because they have the talent to bully smaller teams. So when you're not playing a giant in that top 6, you'll see a lot of possession, a lot of really beautiful stuff from them. Jamie Vardy's their boy. Harry Maguire, who might be on his way to Manchester United in the next couple weeks, but if he stays, that's huge for them. And then your goalie, Kasper Schmeichel, I would say those are 3 talismans on that team right now.
The Holy Trinity, as it were.
Yeah. And they're going to be the guys to watch. You kind of got a guy in the front, and then Harry Maguire, who's a defender but pushes the ball a lot. He would be more of a defensive midfielder almost sometimes, and then Schmeichel goalkeeping. So they can do it. They won the Premier League out of nowhere. Usually it's the same 6 teams winning the Premier League. And then 2014 came around and Leicester City won. And it was a huge deal, and they've benefited a lot from it. So they're a good team to watch for sure.
A good offset. Nice. So before I forget here, you mentioned the top 6. So for those of us, because I don't really follow Premier League, I'm getting into this as we're kind of doing this.
Actually, let's backtrack from that and say, Josh, what is the Premier League?
So the Premier League is the top flight of English football. You have 4 flights that are considered professional. And the Premier League is the top. The one down is called the Championship. After that is League 1 and then League 2. The biggest difference in the structure from American sports is if you tank in American sports, you're rewarded with a high draft pick. And if you tank in the Premier League, you are punished by getting relegated into the Championship. So the bottom 3 teams will go down a league, and the top 3 teams, it's a little bit more complicated than that, but we can get into that later. But the top 3 teams from the Championship will come into the Premier League the next year. And the difference is money. And over there's no cap room. There's no cap space. The richest teams are the best teams for the most part. That's the way it works. And so you want a lot of money. And just by being in the Premier League, you're automatically 150 million pounds richer than any other team in the Championship because of the TV deals. Not to mention all the other perks that come with it. So it's very important for a club to be in the Premier League and to stay in the Premier League.
So what are the top 6 in the Premier League?
You've got, I'm going to go ahead and say Arsenal. They're always going to be top. But most successful team in the history of the Premier League is Manchester United. They're a top 6 team. After that, you're looking at Liverpool, Manchester City, Chelsea, Arsenal, and Tottenham.
Okay.
I will only ever say Tottenham those 2 times on this podcast. Otherwise, I'll refer to them as the shit team or Spuds. But I'll never say their name again.
Why is that?
They're Arsenal's main rival. We're both in North London, and we hate each other.
Plus, I think I remember talking to you about this before, but didn't you say they're kind of like the New York Yankees of the?
No. That's Manchester United. Oh. Manchester United are the Yankees of the Premier League.
So
they're the richest team.
Basically.
Yeah,
they're the richest team in the world, and they've also just won more than anybody else, and they're really fucking full of themselves. So.
Ooh, fun fact: the owner of Manchester United also owns the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Unfortunately, yeah. Yeah, I got you.
All right, cool. So, and then, all right. So, Dolly wants to ask about your team.
Yeah, so Leicester City, a.k.a. the Foxes.
Foxes.
I'm correct.
Yeah.
So that's all I want to say about my team. That's where I'm at.
All right, Patrick, who is your fucking team?
Well, I wanted to also go with Arsenal, but we can't all pick the same team. They were going to be my pick just mostly because of Ozil. He's one of my favorite players. He just happens to play for them. But since I have to go on the flip side, I would actually have to pick Chelsea then next, who also has some actually world-class star players. So
you actually know a little bit about this yourself.
I know a little bit about soccer or football, if you will, but not so much about the Premier League. I don't really watch it that often.
What league do you watch?
I love International Cup, and I definitely love anything German.
Yes, you do.
So, yeah, I do.
Zeke Kyle, Patrick?
Sure. Why not, man? Why not?
The Bundesliga.
Exactly. When is they going to have 2 teams off of there, which would be Bayern Munich and also like Wolfsburg as well. I mean, I know they're not great tier team, but they're also like a really good team, and they have some star players as well.
Ozil came from Wolfsburg.
Yeah, exactly.
He went through there. He went through Werder Bremen, and he was around a couple teams for a while.
So, Josh, what's the deal with Chelsea?
Chelsea's another London team. Not, an Arsenal rival for sure, and that's the thing about the top 6 is everybody hates each other, but because they're a London team, a little bit more hate. Chelsea has world-class players. Thibaut Courtois is their goalie. He's might be on his way to Real Madrid, but they might be able to keep him. Eden Hazard, another Belgian player, is their best player and probably in the top 10 players in the world, and probably the second best dribbler in the world behind Lionel Messi. is just phenomenal on the ball. They've also got Alvaro Morata striking. He could win the Golden Boot at any time. He's that good. You're looking at N'Golo Kante in the midfield, considered one of the best defensive midfielders in the world, and especially in the Premier League. And their back line, you've got David Luiz. You've got Marcos Alonso, considered just his left foot is just amazing, whether he's bringing in set pieces or defending as their left back. So all over the pitch, they're going to be dangerous. They can win the Premier League at any given year. Right now, they're having a hard time stabilizing at the top. So their management and their coaches are always shifting, and that's a problem. But they could do it just based on their talent, for sure.
That's what's up. So, anything more to ask about Chelsea, Patrick?
What can we expect out of management for the season?
Well, so they just brought in a manager, and he's a players coach kind of guy, which goes a little bit different. Jose Mourinho, who is now managing Manchester United, used to manage Chelsea. They've had a long history of storied managers, and in the last 3 years have won the Premier League. So you can expect them to really utilize. He's going to bring the best out of his players. They want to play for him, which is kind of the opposite of some of the more successful guys that are more militant style coaches.
Yeah. All right.
Nice. Cool. So we're good?
We're good.
All right. Manny, who's your team, bro?
Well, I mean, I don't even really need to ask much about it. I mean, Josh has already given me that look, but I'm going with Manchester United.
Man, what's up?
Hey, so we got a little rivalry right here on the podcast.
You know I did. I saw that on Shaun of the Dead or one of those movies.
I mean, to be honest,
Eurotrip.
The main reason that I chose him is because Eurotrip is like, I let him lick me oddballs and shit. And but no, I mean, when it comes to it, I would have chosen Arsenal, but I can't choose Arsenal since Josh is Arsenal. So
man, everybody wants to be on Arsenal.
Yeah. I mean, since I've known Josh for the longest time, I trust him with all sports and everything. So
yeah, it's supposed to be an Arsenal podcast, but we decided no.
Yeah.
Let's all pick different teams.
I mean, let's all pick different teams. Let's all go at each other right now.
So Josh, what's the deal with Arsenal? I'm sorry, not Arsenal. Manchester United.
Manchester United, most historic club in the Premier League, have more titles in every category. Mm-hmm. They compete every year internationally as well, do really well in the Champions League, even though they don't win it that often. They're always in the mix. David De Gea, who is the goalkeeper for Spain, is going to be keeping for them this season. And they've got world-class talent all over the field. They've got so much of it that Anthony Marital, who is considered to be one of the best young forwards in the world, he's only 22, is looking to go elsewhere because he can't find playing time. So other teams are struggling to put 11 guys on the pitch that they're excited about. Manchester United is struggling to give guys playing time because they have one of the best academies in the world, which means that they bring up players from literally the age of 9 or 10 and then turn them into these machines. And they also can buy whoever they want because they're very, very rich and everybody wants to go play for Man U. So they get what they want and they win a lot of titles because of it. And this year, I mean, everywhere. Marcus Rashford, who played for England in the World Cup, will be there. Paul Pogba, if he's not sold in the next week or so, is considered the most athletic defensive midfielder in the world, or a holding midfielder, I guess you could call him. He's the LeBron James of soccer. He's way too fast and strong and big for his frame, so he's just unbelievable. They're going to be hard to beat. They're going to be really, really good, and I hate them with every fiber of my being.
So this is the team that basically they don't buy a player to have a player. They buy the player just to fuck the other teams over, right? Like, that guy could be a problem. You know what? Here's 100 million pounds. He's ours now. He's going to sit in our bench, not do anything, but you don't have him anymore.
Absolutely. They've done that to everybody. Juan Mata was Chelsea's best player. They bought him. They've done it to Arsenal several times. Robin Van Persie, Alexis Sanchez this last season. They don't do it to City. So you typically don't see players cross rivals directly. So a Manchester City player is almost never going to go play for United, but they will go play for the other 6. Maybe not Liverpool either. Man United and Liverpool are technically the big rivals, but they hate City equally. And they definitely do that, similar to what Bayern Munich does in Germany, similar to what Juventus does in Italy. We'll buy your players just so they're not on your team. And they'll want to come here because we can pay them more than you and because they're going to be part of a championship team.
Now, you did bring up an interesting point that I did want to touch on. So you said they have an academy that they bring up kids from like 9, like 10. So how is that different from, like, say, the football structure in the United States where kids go play Little League, then high school, then NCAA? You know, how's that different?
It's different in every way. So typically in American sports, you have minor leagues, and then every sport relies heavily on college to develop their talent. Football relies only on college to develop their talent. And in soccer, in European football, it's not like that at all. You have to develop your own talent. They sign these kids to their academies. So Stevie Gerrard was technically at Liverpool for like almost 30 years because he signed when he was an 8-year-old and he didn't leave until he was 34, 35. And so that's what you get over there. And there's no corruption in athletics, I guess, over there because or there's corruption in FIFA, but not in amateur athletics because you're not depending on those amateur organizations to develop your professional talent. These kids are professionals from the time they are 16 years old. They're getting professional contracts.
So you think that's like a better version or a better way to do it than we do it like through the NCAA system we do it here?
Yes, and I think that's where we're headed. I think that so you're going to still have LSU football, but it's going to be a club thing as opposed to directly tied to the organization. It's kind of hard to explain, and I think we're still about 5 years out, but that's where we're going to have to go because so many kids are just getting fucked, and so many programs are getting screwed over because of the corruption, because of overly enthusiastic boosters and alumni that will go to no bounds in order to make their program a winning program.
But so how do you think it is when so if we have the NCAA system, we got student athletes. So if we do it the club way, then can a kid just like bypass school altogether?
That's the idea. You would still try to get them some kind of ulterior education, but they wouldn't be required to attend regular classes like they are now and kind of live this student athlete life. They would be more professionals and getting paid some kind of incentive. A lot of these kids are coming out trying to make it in the world, but they don't have a way to feed their families, and they don't have. So when someone comes and says, look, we'll give you this money to come play for this program as long as you keep it on the down low, a lot of them don't really have a choice. A lot of them are thinking of it as, well, we're not doing anything else to benefit anybody. And those things will disappear because they'll get compensated for going and putting their bodies on the line and risking their mental health and all that kind of thing with all the head trauma in sports.
So I have a question too. If American football might head that way, how do you see the draft system working then? Because as of now, obviously losing team will go for a first pick, but I imagine that's all going to change because money's going to be a bigger factor then at that point too.
Well, it'll be. I think it'll only change that they won't come from the university; they'll come from the club team. Because as it is, you see a lot of these kids coming from power conferences, the top 5 power conferences in the NCAA. And those teams are getting the best talent, developing the best talent, and then sending the most people to the NFL anyway. Okay. So I don't think it'll ever change where we're like, there's an actual minor league or like a second tier of football. I don't think that's ever coming.
Okay.
Americans, you would see the Cleveland Browns. They wouldn't be part of the NFL anymore, and by about 16 times over. So,
is there anything wrong with that though?
No, we'll get to the Cleveland Browns in a second. That's actually one of the teams I'm actually excited to see this year. But okay, so
no one has ever said that before.
No,
in their life.
Okay,
not even a Browns fan.
Every year. They've said it every year, but because they. Yeah, no, I'm not yet. We're not there yet. Okay.
But what's your team?
So my team is the Wolverhampton Wanderers, which now realizing, I like their logo. That's why I chose them. Wolverhampton, hop, the Wolves. I'm not even sure that's their saying, but that's who I chose. So Josh, what is the deal with the Wolverhampton Wanderers?
You're gonna have the hardest time. They just got promoted.
And not just because you're black.
Wolves got promoted. Just got promoted this year. When I was first starting the Premier League or following it when I was a kid, Wolves was in the Premier League, as was Fulham, who's coming up this year. Clint Dempsey used to play for Fulham, an amazing U.S. soccer player. When he was playing for Fulham, he was the best U.S. soccer player that we had. But Wolves was there as well and stayed up there for a while. Kevin Doyle was their striker, and he was a pretty big name.
So are they in and out of the Premier League?
They have been. They've been out now for about 4 or 5 years. They were actually relegated all the way to League One, which is the third tier of English football. But they were taken over by a businessman who pumped a lot of money into the club. And they actually have more Portuguese players on their squad right now than the biggest clubs in Portugal, which is an interesting fact. But they had this pipeline in Portugal where they had a great relationship with a lot of owners and a lot of agents, and they were able to bring in a lot of huge Portuguese talent in order to get promoted again. I don't think they'll get relegated. I also don't think they're going to finish higher than maybe 13 or 14 on the table.
So would you say this is probably their most optimistic year going into the first division or like the top league?
No.
God damn it.
That's what you get going based on mascot. Seriously.
When they were
it wasn't even mascot. It was logo. Like it was all graphic design for him.
I got my graphic design. I'm all about it.
Well, so they don't call themselves the Wanderers, even though it's Wolverhampton Wanderers. They're Wolves. That's what they call themselves, and they take that symbolism to heart. But they've had better squads than this, but they also, I don't think, will get relegated, which is again a huge deal. And people literally celebrate the way that we would storm a field when we got a big win. If they avoid relegation at the end of the season, there are teams that will storm the field because it's that big of a deal to just not get relegated. And I think that's what you'll be celebrating this year, if anything. So
basically, as long as you don't come 18th, 19th, and 20th.
You're fine.
Yeah, no, 18th, 19th, 20th, you're gone.
That's relegation. Yeah. So as long as you don't come out in those three. So
yes.
17th, you're still good.
17, you're making that 150 mil right there.
That's your goal.
If you come in 17th place, you're still good. Else, you're going to have to chug a bottle or something.
I'm not doing that shit. But anyway, so what's the deal? Because I'm seeing this. Who is, and if I fuck up the name, I am so sorry. Adame Traore.
Traore is going to be one of your boys this year. You're also looking at Nunez. You're looking at up front. They used to have a guy named Sacco. I don't know if he's there anymore. Ruben Neves in your midfield. That's literally all I can think about right now. And again, they've pumped a lot of money into the club, so they're not going to be abysmal or anything like that. But they're going to have a hard time scoring goals with the big boys, and that's always a problem.
Now they just won their a preseason friendly against Villarreal. How significant or insignificant is that?
It's significant. Villarreal is not a pushover in La Liga, which is the Spanish league. They're a middle tier team in the Spanish league, so. Anytime that you can go and beat someone like that, it's significant because that's about the talent that you'll be facing in the Premier League outside of the top six is about a Villarreal type team. So it's significant.
All right, that's what's up. So yeah, that's my team right there. The Wolverhampton Wanderers, or the Wolves. Picked them based on logo. Sorry, but I'm looking at Adame apparently. So finally, Josh, we're looking at Arsenal. So what can you tell us about Arsenal, man?
I think that it's a disease to be a sports fan in the way that I am, because you have a hard time being realistic. Every year I go in thinking that Arsenal are going to win the Premier League. But I think for the first time in maybe 10 years, we have a real shot. Arsene Wenger was our coach for 22 years before stepping down last season. We brought in some new blood, spent an unbelievable amount of money bringing in new players. Alba, Alexander Lacazette, Mickey, Ozil's been there. Lucas Torreira, who represented Uruguay in the World Cup this year and was just phenomenal in the defensive midfield. Stefan Lichtensteiner, who's been spending basically his whole club at Juventus and is bringing in some veteran leadership for us at right back. Hector Bellerin, who was already there. Koscielny, who's hurt, but Mustafi stepping in. We bought Socrates from Borussia Dortmund. Just a lot, unbelievable amount of talent at Arsenal. It'll be a matter if a lot of that comes down to coaching, and it comes down to discipline, and it comes down to doing the things that championship teams win or do, and that's beating small clubs 100% of the time and losing to big clubs as little as possible. And that's Arsenal's problem, is not the latter, but the former. Sometimes going up against Bournemouth or Burnley or whoever else, we have a hard time winning instead of tying, and that really can kill your whole season. So that's what we're hoping for.
So I'm going to inject here. So now that you kind of talked about that, what is the scoring system we're looking at for the Premier League?
So you're going to get 3 points for a victory. You're going to get 1 point for a tie and 0 points for a loss. And so there are smaller clubs who, if they get a tie, that's a victory. But the bigger clubs who are competing for the championship, a tie is almost never good enough. And that's the biggest thing, is that the Giants need to beat up on the minnows. And if they don't, the whole system goes out of whack. And that's when you see teams like Leicester City take advantage of that and just pull off more 3 points than other people around them.
Now, is that a universal scoring system like used throughout soccer, or is that just like
typically? Yes. I can't think of an example that's not that way. MLS is a little different, only because their wins and losses and draws count numerically as opposed to points sometimes. But most soccer FAs are going to use that system.
The US just likes doing fucking shit differently to try to stand out.
All our points are in the standard.
They don't use the metric system. They use the fucking American measuring system.
Well, and MLS just isn't very fun to watch. It is
not. It's like fucking dodgeball, dude. Like there's
I like dodgeball.
I mean, I like dodgeball too, but that's why I play dodgeball, not football. Masked ass dodgeball. Like,
so would you say this is a good league for Americans to get in, to watch, and to really try to get their hand at understanding and learning and enjoying?
I want to say any European league.
Anything but American league.
I would say I'm going to agree and disagree at the same time with that sentiment. The first sentiment, yes, it 100% is. It's hard to. So there's the big five in Europe. Not every European league is equal. Yeah. It's England, Germany, Spain, France, and I'm missing somebody.
Italy? Portugal?
Did I say Italy?
No.
England, Spain, France, Germany, and Italy. Yeah. So Serie A, the Bundesliga, La Liga, the Premier League, that's where you want to be following. And it's hard to get... So the Premier League is just the most competitive league, period. Bayern Munich dominates in Germany. PSG dominates in France. Juventus dominates in Italy. And Real Madrid and Barcelona dominate in Spain. In the Premier League, you have at least 6-7 teams that can take it, and in other leagues you're looking at literally 1 or 2 teams that are actually going to compete.
All right, so let's see.
So many teams going at it. How do you realistically feel about Arsenal then? I mean, do you think they're going to have like kind of an upstart like they kind of did back in 2004 that's when they last won, right? And they didn't even lose.
The 2000, right? So the Invincibles team, the only team to ever go undefeated in a Premier League season was that Arsenal team.
Right.
We had Thierry Henry, who at the time was the best striker in the world. We had Robert Pires. We had an unbelievable Dennis Bergkamp. Just a crazy amount of talent. We can have that talent. I think they need 1 more year to mesh, which is a big thing in soccer. Chemistry is a huge thing. And so realistically, I think we qualify for the Champions League, which means you finish in the top 4.
Right.
And it's a big deal because, again, it's a lot more money and a lot more prestige to go compete internationally, where you're playing the best teams from all over Europe.
Right.
So for those people who, again, don't follow the Premier League, how many rounds are we looking at How many games? How many rounds?
It's going to be 38 games in a season, and then you've got what's called the League Cup, where it's a tournament inside the Premier League season, and it's a one and done tournament. So it's a single elimination tournament that you play in between games that lasts until January. And then you have the FA Cup, which is the more prestigious in-season tournament, which starts in January and won't end till May.
Okay.
The winner of the FA Cup gets to qualify for Europa League, which is, so Champions League is the highest level of international competition, club competition, and then Europa League will be the second level of international competition. And the money's a big difference. And again, people love watching the Premier League. Nobody watches Europa League, so it's a big difference for sure.
Just watching one, well, not watching one, but how well a team does in one, does that give you any sort of measure on how well they'll do in the other? So, like, if someone wins the Europa, is it guaranteed that they're going to do well or even win the Premier?
It definitely helps. Very few teams are going to go win the Champions League and not win domestically. Whether they win the championship domestically or they're in the top one or two, usually they come hand in hand. Bayern Munich, when they won the Champions League, won the domestic title. Real Madrid has won the last two Champions Leagues, won domestically. Chelsea is the exception. They actually beat Bayern Munich 2 years before Bayern Munich won this last time. They did not win the English Premier League, but they won the Champions League that year. So it's a little bit of hit and miss, but mostly you're going to see them go hand in hand.
So there's some good correlation, but like all statistics, there's no guarantee.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Which makes it really fun to watch, I believe.
So I see that Arsenal is looking to pick up Ricardo Rodriguez from AC Milan. How big of a deal is that for you guys?
It's a big deal because we just lost our starting left back for like 2 months, and our backup left back is not going to be ready for the beginning of the season. We've got some young guys that can play there, but bringing in Rodriguez would be a huge deal for us. And he would probably take over as the starting left back, even if those other two guys came back healthy. So, but he's going to cost a lot of money. We've already spent a lot of money, so I don't know how realistic that is.
Who was your starting left back again?
Sead Kolasinac, but also Nacho Monreal is they kind of switch in and out.
So what's the deal with Callum Chambers?
Callum Chambers is like our...
Callum Chambers, guys.
Callum Chambers is
at least
like...
I'm trying, motherfuckers.
He's like our fifth center back down. He's not super important, but he's young, so he has a lot of time to develop.
Nice. So overall, give us... I know this is very early on. There's still a lot of things that need to settle. The dust is all over the place, but if with all your immeasurable knowledge, give us your prediction for top 8 going into Premier League.
So top 8, I'll give you I guess in no particular order, but in kind of you're going to be looking at United and Chelsea and Arsenal. You're going to be looking at Manchester City. I think is going to win again. They won last year. They won the Premier League, and I think they'll win again. They beat up people bad last year. It wasn't even close. A lot of games against really good teams. And I think they could win the Champions League even. They're that good. So I think City wins. But then the Champions League spots, which is the top 4, are going to Arsenal, Man U, and Liverpool. And then after that, I think you're looking at Chelsea and the shit team. And then your dark horse, I think, to finish and maybe sneak into a Europa League spot, I think is going to be Everton.
The Wolves, goddammit.
No, Everton, I think.
Okay.
Everton spent a lot of money this offseason, and I really like the guys that they bought. And they were smart last year and spent a good amount of money getting players kind of under the radar that are really going to help them this year. So I think Everton, not only could they finish 7th, but they could sneak into a Champions League spot if some of these bigger teams have a hard time getting started.
So how new are these players, though? How much experience do they have that they've just recently bought up? Do they have a lot of team cohesion already?
You're looking at very experienced players in Theo Walcott and Lucas Digne. Theo Walcott played for Arsenal for a long, long time. He was our longest tenured player up until they bought him last year. And Lucas Digne just came from Barcelona, and he's only 25 years old. But in football, you're at your prime. Then you a 25-year-old is not something that you worry about age-wise. Where in the NFL, that's kind of young still. And in baseball, that's crazy young. So, but in the Premier League, you don't. A 25-year-old, you expect him to go out there and be a leader and be emotionally mature and that kind of thing. So, while they may not have a lot of chemistry in the beginning, they will have experience in leadership.
Okay.
Now, in terms of soccer, though, like age-wise, like on the top end, when do you kind of expect a player to retire, and is that age position specific? Like, you know, kind of like running back and all that.
Absolutely, your strikers are going to go first. Because they have to be more athletic than other people for the most part. Your goalkeepers are going to last longest for the opposite of that reason. You can be very technically sound as a goalkeeper and not have to be as athletic. So you see a lot of goalkeepers go into their late 30s, early 40s. With the strikers, that's incredibly rare. And if they keep playing, they keep going down in leagues. So there's guys that are 40 that are playing, but they're playing in the Australian league or the Japanese league, which are not very prestigious or competitive. And then from there, it's kind of just a matter of when they break down. I mean, Javier Zanetti played till he was 40 for Inter Milan. Ryan Giggs played till he was 41 for Manchester United, literally every season with Manchester United, which was incredible. You see that with Stevie Gerrard at Liverpool, Frank Lampard at Chelsea, played into their mid-30s, which is still pretty incredible to stay at that high level. So I would say strikers the least, goalkeepers most, and then everyone else kind of in between.
That's what's up. So we're about halfway into this, and as always, we got to do our mid-episode shot because that's just something I made up right now.
All right.
I'm about it.
Yours is behind the computer, Adrian.
All right.
To the left, the other side.
Got it.
Hey, that was
You said left.
I did.
You did.
Stage left.
Stage left. Oh, all right. My
Cheers.
bad. Wait, no, this is stage left. I'm looking at the stage. Stage left.
He's got a point.
No, but his stage left is your right.
I mean, I don't care
right,
what
we're
his
gonna
stage.
cut
He's
the
talking
next
to
10
me.
minutes.
Hold up. All right.
Cheers.
Cheers, boys. Cheers.
We're shooting
To Leicester City, boys.
Bad news about Leicester.
Goddamn Gunners.
Wolfenstein. I don't. Wolverham. Wanderers. Goddammit.
All right, so we know Arsenal are the Gunners. Leicester City are the Foxes. What is the Wolves? The Wolves.
The Wanderers.
Wanderers are the
Wandering
Wolves.
Wolves.
What are
Wolverham.
what was your team again, Patrick?
That killed me. Chelsea.
Chelsea. What's Chelsea's
They're just
handler?
they go by the Blues.
The Blues?
Their logo's like a griffin kind of looking thing, but you
the
just call them-
Gryffindor.
You just call them the Blues.
The logo has changed many times throughout the year too. They're like always just redesigning it a little
So
bit.
I'm reading right now that Manchester's putting a big bid for Maguire. That's
Jerry
Leicester-
Maguire.
Harry Maguire,
Harry Maguire.
Leicester City defender.
He just talked about that at the very beginning.
Show me the money.
well,
Yeah.
they just brought it in that they're trying to put in a bigger.
No,
bid.
really, no one. All right.
They're working hard to buy him, but he's
I was gonna make the joke like an hour ago, but yeah.
Fuck you, Ted.
All right. So on to my favorite subjects of all times. Well, not of all time, but whatever. Football.
We were just talking about football.
We're talking about football.
No, real.
We were
Yeah,
talking
we're not
about
talking
real
about real
football.
football.
Nah, I think he's
The
talking
number
about
one
football
watched world
americano.
sport
All right,
is
first
football.
of all, this year is America. All right, and like you just gotta realize this is America. Okay?
Number
I don't
one
know, dude. My
most world-
phone is telling me welcome to Telcel, so I don't know.
all our mics and equipment and computer and mixer are all made in China. I think this beer is from out of town somewhere, but this is America. All right. So we're gonna talk about football now. I didn't have you guys choose a team, but you're gonna have to do one now on the fly because I said.
Oh,
so.
Denver, baby, Denver.
Ew, really? Okay. Well, no. All right. Cool. Denver. All right. Cool. Denver, all right. So we're gonna go ahead and start with Patrick because you were super quiet when I said something. So who's your team, Patrick?
It'd have to be Baltimore Ravens. Not a good pick by any chance, but still actually a really competent team.
All right. So Josh, tell us all about the Baltimore Ravens this season.
You got Joe Flacco coming back, old man Flacco coming back, trying to win another Super Bowl. Has a ring.
Try to win a starting spot. Well, keep his starting spot.
I don't think Lamar Jackson or RG3 are ready to take over. Or RG3's old, but I just don't think he's going to be a starting quarterback unless it's the emergency. I think Flacco's got the job at least one more year, and he's got a lot of talent around him. They need to find a running back, and their wide receivers are no names, but they've played well. You're also looking at a defense that's just always good. It doesn't seem to matter how many guys they rotate out. The Ravens have a good defense.
So why draft a quarterback in the first round if you already have your starter in Flacco?
Because you need Lamar Jackson to develop. He's not ready yet. He has the raw talent, the natural skills, the physical skills, but he needs to have a year holding the clipboard and learning the game and getting adjusted to the new speed of the NFL.
But generally nowadays, you don't draft a quarterback in the first round if you don't expect him to start, if not at the end of the season when there's trash games, or at the beginning of next season.
If the Ravens tank and they don't do well, he will start at the end of the season. If they're successful, Flacco doesn't lose his job. There's no chance.
Okay. And of course, they always have the ever trusty Justin Tucker at kicker, who I think has more fantasy points than everybody on that team combined. I mean, not combined. He's a beast. He's a beast, that guy. But I'm looking very forward to Lamar Jackson for you guys. Lamar Jackson is an incredible dual threat quarterback coming out of Louisville. This dude he set school records. Great runner, great thrower.
Could be the next Michael Vick. He's that talented.
Yeah, he's that talented. I think he's bigger too, which is
he's starting getting dogs together.
Wow.
We're going
Oh shit! I'm sorry. It's not a sports and funny podcast.
We have 3 rules.
I'll put the funny away. I'm sorry.
We have 3 rules. You don't talk about Michael Vick. You don't remember O.J. Simpson, and you don't say the N-word, and not in that order as well. God damn it. All right. So that's what we're looking forward for the Baltimore Ravens. Lamar Jackson, Joe Flacco, if he can keep his starting position. We'll see about that. All right. Cool. Adrian.
Denver Broncos, baby.
Yuck.
Granted, look, I'll be the first to admit, I don't know a lot about football, but when I first saw a game as a kid, the first game that ever captured my attention was a Denver Broncos game. And out of the 2 teams, they were the ones that seemed to a kid who didn't really know anything about the sport easier to see that they were doing well and that they more or less knew what they were doing. Granted, this was in the 90s. So this was, way back when. It's obviously different players, different tactics, different things altogether. I'm not sure how football changes over the years. So it might have been a whole different beast altogether. But to me, what they were doing at the time made sense. And call it nostalgia, call it a kid, latching onto something, call it what you will. But to me, Denver Broncos will always have a place in my heart. So when I can't think of a better reason to cheer for a team, it's Denver Broncos for me, baby.
Now, from what I've read this year, I think they're fine defensively. I mean, they lost
There's nothing wrong with that. Look, Chicago Bears, for the longest time, they had nothing but defense, and they made it farther than a lot of teams.
I was doing an analysis of your team if you would hold the fuck on.
God damn. You know what? Do you want to take my mic away from me? Is this what you want?
Yeah, I need to sit you out like I did Jono and Patrick that one time, but Jono didn't listen at all. So, as I was saying, defensively, I think they're fine. But I think they're still looking for their starting quarterback and their running back.
The quarterback issue has been an issue, redundancy aside, for a while now. And even when they got Jay Cutler,
you're far back.
Jay Cutler was a while back. They won a Super Bowl. Peyton Manning.
No. Who was after Jay Cutler?
Peyton Manning.
Peyton Manning.
After
that was Kyle Orton.
Kyle Orton. Okay,
Kyle
but they won a Super Bowl. Peyton Manning 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And since then they've had problems. Paxton Lynch they drafted in the first round. He's been bad.
Brock Osweiler.
Yeah, after that it kind of just started going a little downhill. But in my opinion, they still, from what I'm not the authority on this, so don't quote me on this. Don't take my word as bond. But I still liked the way they played. There was still something fun about watching them. Whereas other teams, we would sit there and watch them at the bar, and I would talk to you, and it's like, you know what? I don't really know a lot about football, but I am not enjoying this game. Like, it's not fun. They're not doing great things. There was nothing for me to really latch onto. And if there's anything I could say is that Broncos, they've always had their problems, but I've always enjoyed watching their games.
I can respect that.
Yeah, and I think a big thing with them is that they've always had a high-flying offense. Like, they've always had like a great passer, a great receiver core. Just this year, I mean, they're building from the ground up on that side of the ball. But I think they are trying to win this year. Who's their starting quarterback this season?
It's a position battle right now. It's either between Paxton Lynch or I forget that kid's name that started from
Trevor Siemian.
It's going to be one of those two guys.
So who's better and why?
Paxton Lynch physically is better. He has a huge arm. The kid can throw 60 yards from his knees.
Damn.
And I think he has a higher ceiling too, right? Like he's
that's what I mean by physically he just is better. He has the higher ceiling. Has the physical tools to be an all-star quarterback. He seems to struggle with the mental part of the game. Trevor Siemian's exact opposite. Northwestern kid, super smart, does not have the arm.
No physical.
I mean he's not inaccurate, but he's also he doesn't have a big arm. You're looking at moving your offense from a 60-yard offense to about accurately, he can throw maybe 35, 40 yards.
So kind of just moving little by little forward instead of those great like
teams have won Super Bowls
Hail Mary plays.
Right.
Yeah.
And teams have won Super Bowls that way, but you got to have all the other parts down.
So which one would you think over this year, which one would you think would be easier to work into a cog that would fit into this machine better?
You have to give Paxton Lynch the chance. You use the first round draft pick on him.
Yeah.
And so you have to give him the reins or you got to let him go. First round picks that don't work out like that, they don't turn into backups at your club. They turn into backups at other clubs because they didn't work out and you got to move on. So they have to give him a chance and see what he can do, and then they have to let him go, which I think they'd be happy to do if he's not working out by this point. Trevor Siemian mentally is the guy that you could lead your team. I don't think Paxton Lynch is that guy.
Yeah. So assuming Lynch doesn't work out, what can they do with Siemian to have him step up and be that leader the team needs?
Block for him. Give him time to read and to throw the ball. Give him time to find those receivers and play good defense, because that's how the Bucs won the Super Bowl when they won the Super Bowl.
So at the end of the day, it just comes back down to the defense, which is something they have.
It comes down to defense and it comes down to your O-line. That's what it comes down to.
Their defense is the reason they won the Super Bowl that year anyway.
Von Miller.
They also got DeMarcus Ware at that time.
Dear God, man, please talking to your mic.
I am, motherfucker.
No, you keep doing this thing.
Well, DeMarcus Ware, they had him. They had
there you go.
Keep Talib. They got
Marcus Ware's gone, but
he's gone now. But for that Super Bowl that they had him, they fucking killed it. Like the defense was ridiculous. They swarmed Cam Newton. I mean, for all intents and purposes, and excuse my French, but they fucked his ass up. I mean, like, straight up, man. Like they had that dude not going for fumbles. He looked like he just looked like a fucking college football player at that time, man. They kicked his ass. So, Manny, who is your team and what's up?
My team, ever since I came out of the womb, was Pittsburgh Steelers.
Damn.
So the rival to Patrick over there for the Baltimore Ravens. I honestly thought this was going to be Big Ben's last year, this past season, but he made it for sure that he's coming back for this season, which got me excited. I've always been a Big Ben fan. I was a little upset that they traded Martavius Bryant to the Oakland Raiders, but, it is what it is. We still got Juju and obviously Brown, and we got Eli Rogers still. So, I mean, he's developing. Le'Veon Bell, I mean, I understand everything that's going on with him. Yeah, we slapped the franchise tag on him, but, I mean, he does deserve what he wants because he's
the best running back in the NFL.
Well, that's the thing, though. Does he, though? Because I think that offense can survive with a middle.
But if you think about it, he's also really well rounded because he can also act as a really good receiver. Once he catches the ball, he's gone and he's out of there. So, I mean,
I think you're looking at a trend of running backs being less valuable. You don't see him typically get drafted high anymore. Saquon Barkley being the only exception this year.
Well, Todd Gurley was the year before.
Right. So, but that's only one. So if you look at the 2005 draft, you're looking at the three of the first 5 picks were running backs. You got Cadillac Williams to the Buccaneers. You've got Cedric Benson to the Bears, and then you've got Ronnie Brown to the Dolphins.
That's some fucking encyclopedic knowledge right there.
What did I tell you? About
God damn.
And we've gone away from that. You look at the year Adrian Peterson got drafted, arguably the best running back in the league for quite some time now. Not anymore, but when he was at his prime. He fell to 7 to the Minnesota Vikings. And any team that drafted in front of him probably should have taken Adrian Peterson. They didn't because of the way we're trending right now.
So, but I don't think that they should pay, because I don't know how much Le'Veon Bell is actually asking for, but I don't think they should pay him. Like, they should just let him walk, honestly, because Super Bowl teams. I mean, if you think about the last couple of Super Bowl teams, they survived without a top 5 running back.
And that is true. I mean,
because I think the Broncos won it with I think no Sean Moreno and
no, it was C.J. Anderson.
Anderson, but with no Sean Moreno, I think it was a committee backfield, wasn't it?
No, Sean was gone. It was the other guy. I can't remember his name. But they're both gone now. To accentuate your point, neither of those guys that won the Super Bowl are on the team anymore 3 years later. So
that doesn't bode well for me.
But even the Panthers, who were at the Super Bowl, they had Jonathan Stewart, and he's like a middle of the pack kind of running back to begin with, because not only that you have that, but you also got your quarterback who can run it. So, and that's why I think that, because a lot of teams right now are going for dual threat quarterbacks, so they don't really need a bell cow running back anymore.
And I do agree with that. I mean, before I really liked Bell, I loved D'Angelo Williams, who was the starting running back before Bell, and he was just a bull, kind of like Jerome Bettis was, the bus. So, I mean, to me, that's what I really loved about Williams before Bell, but then I became a Bell fan, and, you know, I really love the sense that they utilize them, they use them and everything, so and that's what I'm like saying is too, is like some of the best running backs in the league in general all kind of played for sort of shitty teams. Like if you look at Barry Sanders, you know, the Lions, Adrian Peterson, the Vikings. Like, I mean, they didn't do too well. So I mean, you can kind of do without a running back. And the teams that will pay Le'Veon Bell top dollar will only have Le'Veon Bell as that person on the team. Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I mean, we'll see how this season goes. I mean, I really don't think anymore this is going to be Big Ben's last season either. Defense-wise, I think we're okay. We picked up a good couple of people on the draft, but, you know, it's still young. It's still a young team to develop on the defense side.
You're looking at Mike Tomlin's first time that he's actually had to rebuild. Because when he came in, he was gifted Ben Roethlisberger, youngest quarterback to ever win a Super Bowl. And Antonio Brown came along, and they've had a lot of success. So I think after this season, you're looking at, if they don't win, you're looking at Mike Tomlin's first rebuild, and it's going to be a testament to his career. The Browns have had basically a new head coach every year for I don't know how long.
They've been rebuilding for 50 years.
So I do see the Browns as a threat this year. I'm not going to be surprised if they actually do honestly beat us.
But the Steelers have had 3 head coaches in the last 40 years.
Exactly.
So and that's the kind of stability that really makes a difference.
But here's the thing, I'm saying, or he's saying, that I think the Browns finally got it down this year. I think they finally had it.
That's what people say every God.
No.
You know,
it's different this year.
And no, hold on. And a couple of years back, they were so fucking just like, this is the year that we got this, that they came out with that movie on top of it all, where we're just like, this is the movie that's gonna
about draft day.
This is the movie that's like, it's gonna hype up people because we are
ever.
So hyped because we know this year we got it. We got all the right picks.
Not
and
even
we're
Will
doing
Smith
all these
saved
things.
that movie.
Yeah, no, wait. Will Smith was Will Smith in that movie?
Or David Costner? Who was it?
Kevin Costner.
Kevin Costner.
Yeah,
what the fuck, dude? Hold on. What the fuck just happened?
Birdman, Independence, kind of different.
God, man.
One of them was Batman.
We're not gonna talk about why that movie was shitty, but I will talk about like why I think the Browns maybe have it this year. Okay, first of all,
please.
They have. Oh, please.
Is this your way of telling us that you're leaving the Buccaneers for
For the sake of I will say this: for the sake of this, what we're doing right here, I am picking a different team.
Oh, you're not going with the Buccaneers anymore.
I love the Buccaneers.
You're just gonna stick to the soccer thing that we're.
I really feel betrayed.
Just get into it.
Sorry, man. I can't. We have to all have like a different like.
Well, I won't root for anybody else, so please go ahead.
Yeah, you
hold on. Okay, so are you also a Buccaneers fan, Josh?
I'm a diehard Buccaneers fan.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Literally since I was a kid.
Oh, good man. Okay. So I understand your
right.
Half understand your plight. So who is the new team you are rooting for?
No. I want to get into why the Browns are gonna I think.
Hold on, because I'm more interested in the other thing now. We can get back to the Browns. Look, the Browns don't interest me.
Okay.
Your pick interests me.
My pick interests you?
Because when the Broncos play your team, I want to be there with you at a bar, watching the game with you.
All right, it's gonna happen.
Eating some wins.
That's if they play together.
And drinking some beer.
If they play.
Oh, they're gonna
play. So who is it? Because I want to talk about the Browns too. So who is it?
The Dallas Cowboys, motherfucker. What's up?
All right. Hold
So
on.
you're going to the biggest gay bar in the
Now we have
in
a
the city
problem.
of Texas, right?
Now we got a problem.
Or
So
is it-
Josh,
or is it
you were
because-
talking about the Browns. So what about the Browns? What's happening with them?
I was talking about the Browns. Wow.
Not anymore. You ain't talking at all.
Damn.
I mean, we clearly can't
Cut his
trust
mic.
your judgment anymore. So we're gonna I'm gonna go ahead and edit all of this out with you. every time you talk, it's gonna be silence.
Let's
I'm the
see-
editor.
And
I'm
we're
the
just
one who
we're
edits
just
the
talking about
podcast.
with Josh
Let's
now.
see if Darren was going to talk about the same thing.
This is the Josh hour now.
No,
so
I'm gonna dual threat with this go because
All right.
the Buccaneers are still my team. I love the Buccaneers. I've been a Buccaneers fan since like 2000 and shit. Love the Buccaneers. But for the sake of this, Clyde is gonna be a Cowboys fan. Fuck
Yeah.
that noise. What's
Clyde.
I like that we have a Cowboys fan somewhere in it. We're a Texas podcast and we had 0 Cowboys fans, so
Yeah.
someone needed to be represented. But I lived my last I just moved back to El Paso. I've lived my last 2 years in Dallas, so I've got that stink all over me.
dude, it is crazy. You'll go into like a Walmart, a Target, whatever, and they have just like the grocery section will be cut down just so they could put like a huge fucking apparel section filled to the fucking rafters with Dallas Cowboys shit.
And I bet you they sell that
And
shit
it-
too.
Honestly,
boggles
but
my
if
fucking
I was gonna
mind.
pick a Texas team to do like badass this year, I'd pick
Texans.
the Houston Texans because they got Deshaun Watson, who's gonna be badass at quarterback. They got JJ Watt. I think he's coming back healthy this
Dude,
year.
poor Texans,
They
they're
got
like the Oilers from back in the day
County.
of like,
No,
this is a
they're
team
sick,
that
though.
is like
I was gonna
people
say.
rally behind but never goes anywhere.
No, but this team's sick this year, dude. They got a badass defense.
That's what they always say about the fucking
That
Browns.
is true.
too,
no,
man.
but this is for real.
No, yeah.
This is
Again,
real.
again.
Dude, I
I
believe
get-
more than
Second
I
pick.
believe in the Browns more than I do the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is for sure.
Wait, what about Oilers though? No, Oilers. Sorry, Texans.
Yeah, Texas. They got Deshaun Watson, who's coming back.
No,
healthy as
I'm
quarterback.
not asking you. I'm asking Josh. I don't care about your opinion.
Oh.
Where's your encyclopedic knowledge? I can't. Go on.
No, I don't give a
So-
fuck anymore. Do what you want.
Let's talk about the Browns. Okay,
talk
so
about
you're
the
gonna
Browns.
bring up Jarvis Landry first,
No, I
probably.
was gonna be Jarvis. Jarvis Landry plays.
God damn.
No, I was gonna bring
Mike.
up,
Jarvis?
What do you call it?
Josh Gordon.
Yeah,
Tyrod
Jarvis.
Taylor, man.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Tyrod Taylor.
Yeah, I was gonna bring up Tyrod Taylor because he's a proven quarterback. Shouldn't have been cut by the Bills. Should have started by the Bills. They should have never brought in who's it? Perriman.
Perriman.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
Perriman. Yeah.
Yeah, they should have never. They should have never like benched Tyrod Taylor to bring in Perriman.
So Tyrod Taylor out of Virginia Tech was drafted by the Baltimore Ravens. Is a dual threat quarterback. Played right after Michael Vick at Virginia Tech, and nobody thought he was going to make it. And against all odds, has turned into a guy that can pocket pass and then uses that athletic ability. I agree with you 100%. I think the Bills should have tried to hang on to him. I think he's going to be great for the Browns.
My only problem with him is that he's too conservative. I feel like he plays safe. He doesn't take risks, and that's kind of what you need to do to be a top tier quarterback. But I feel like he's a good stopgap because they just drafted who was it?
Baker Mayfield sucks. So
Yeah, he does.
Damn.
Wait. So Baker Mayfield sucks. So you thought who should have gone before Baker?
I think Josh Allen and Josh Rosen are the futures of the NFL.
Josh Rosen for
respectively.
sure.
Josh Allen. So this is a kid that had 0 Division I offers coming out of high school. Sent over 1,000 emails to 1,000 different coaches begging for a chance to play at a Division I school. Was given the chance at Wyoming, of all places, and then turned that trash program into a program that won some bowl games. And he's got an incredible arm, very accurate, super smart, driven kid. And Josh Rosen just has all the physical attributes. He has a huge arm, can play in the pocket, has the athleticism to get out of the pocket. Baker Mayfield is undersized. He's overrated. And he should never have been that high of a pick in the draft, which the Browns are known to do. They pick a bunch of kids that aren't ready to play. Do you know the name Barkevius Mingo?
No.
Well, he
Yeah,
was.
yes, I do. I do.
He was a first-round draft pick by the Browns 6 years ago and is out of the NFL, which happens to them more than any other team where they draft a kid in the first round and then he's out of the NFL very, very quickly because he wasn't ready. Baker Mayfield will have some success as a backup quarterback. He will never be a championship-winning quarterback.
Honestly, I think Baker Mayfield is another Tony Manziel to me.
Johnny Manziel.
Johnny
Manziel.
I don't think so because
who threw 4 interceptions in his debut for the Montreal Alouettes this weekend.
It can't be as good as like Connor Cook, who had like a quarterback rating of like negative something.
They didn't draft Connor Cook high though.
Connor Cook, he was like drafted 4th. He was expected to go at least 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're running low on time. So Josh, Tampa Bay Buccaneer fan. So what's up with the Buccaneers?
Make or break year for Jameis Winston after first grabbing girls by the pussy and then the crab legs incident and now recently an Uber driver.
Fun fact, he grabbed crabs by the pussy. That's why it's a problem.
That's the best way to do it.
Between the crab legs. That's why. Sorry. I thought the public should know.
If anything, the man is consistent. You got to give him that.
Hashtag crab legs too. All right, so
you've got to be serious. And you've got to lead your team as a quarterback. And he does a lot of really great things. Muhammad Ali is his idol. He listens. Every day he wakes up and listens to like inspirational speeches that people have given and tries to bring that energy to his team. But when you're not there at the clubhouse, you got to act right. You're not catching Tom Brady doing some fucking dumbass shit. He deflated some balls in the Super Bowl. But outside of that, you're not going to catch him doing some dumb stuff. And Jameis has to prove himself. Really excited about our receiving core: Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, Deshaun Jackson, Cameron Brate, OJ Howard at the tight end position. We've got a rookie at running back who's just an absolute monster in both the pass game and the run game. And then defense, we've got the best front line in the NFL. Jason Pierre-Paul, you've got Gerald McCoy, you've got Vita, the rookie, you've got we grabbed an Eagles defensive end from their Super Bowl team. And we look absolutely stacked, not to mention Quan Alexander, Levante David back at linebacker. And the secondary is going to be the question mark. I love Brent Grimes. I think he should stay in the NFL as long as he can. And I think he's still a shutdown corner, so that's not the problem. Those younger kids like Justin Evans at safety are going to have to step up.
So basically, so Jameis Winston got suspended for 3 games, right? Or 2?
Yeah, the first 3 games.
First 3 games. So if he comes in 4th game and he shows up, do you think this team has a shot in the division they're in? Because they're with the Panthers, the Falcons, and the Saints. Do you think they have a chance at a shot at the playoffs this year?
Absolutely we do.
Fucking A, bro. Fucking A.
There's the only thing keeping us out of the playoffs is us. The other teams are not better than us. They're not more talented. We beat ourselves. And so if we can get rid of those mental mistakes and really come in and find a leader and Dirk Cotter can get it together, for me, it's always been the coach. Hashtag bring back John Gruden.
Hashtag negative. Fuck that dude, man.
So
he goes back to the
greatest
Raiders?
coach of all time.
So
fuck him. He goes back to the Raiders.
So you're not saying the Saints aren't a threat to you at all?
It's not that they're not a talented team. They're just not more talented than we are. There's just no way they are.
Yeah,
especially with Mark Ingram missing games.
Yeah, all teams in the NFC South right now I think we're equally talented. But I just think that
honestly they are. Yeah,
the Buccaneers have a thing where they're also really young, like in comparison to all these other teams. So they're gonna make
Mike fucking Evans. There's not a receiver. The only receiver that's even compares to him is also in the NFC South, ironically, but it's Julio Jones. No one else has the size, the speed, the athletic ability that Mike Evans has. His hands are a little weak, but that's it.
And finally, let's go ahead and end.
So we're going to end this podcast right here, right?
The Dallas Cowboys.
Why not the Houston Texans, though? Why are you going to the Dallas Cowboys?
Yeah, why the Dallas? I mean,
because I feel like they're more controversial.
Houston would be my second
Look what
pick,
happened when
and
I
they
even
are
said
still
their
a
name.
Great team.
Look what happened when I even said their name.
Oh, so you're going with the James Gunn thing. You're just putting a fucking provocateur. That's all you're doing.
Texas team. Why not?
He
Houston,
disowned me
though?
as his son. Like
Why
as soon as
not
I
Houston?
said it, like he was like he didn't even know me. He was like fuck you. I'm not like Jesus Christ.
Yeah, but why Dallas over Houston?
I was honestly expecting the Raiders from you or something.
Oh, negative. Why?
Oh,
black?
what?
Wow, good look, bro. Good look, bro. Good look.
I actually really like the Raiders.
I do
Derek
like the
Carr
Raiders.
can go.
Hold up. We're running low on time. So tell us about your pick, Dallas. What you're expecting from them?
All
Make
right.
it nice, sweet.
I'm
Let's get up to
expecting
the
for
end.
them to be second in the NFC South, NFC East. Sorry, behind the Eagles, above the Redskins, and above who's the 4th?
Giants.
Above the Giants. Yeah, Giants. I think they're done. This is going to be their last year before they rebuild.
Saquon.
The Redskins. They lost Kirk Cousins, who I think is kind of trash anyway. And he's got paid way too fucking much for what he's going to do. They have Alex Smith, who's kind of a game manager, and there's nothing exciting about them. The Eagles, they didn't lose anybody from last year to this year, so they're already stacked.
They lost Vinny Curry to the Buccaneers, but go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Oh, sorry. But like in terms of their core, though, I mean, they still got Carson Wentz. They are or Nick Foles, whichever one. It's like I have my first round pick or the Super Bowl MVP to choose from. They still have their badass defense, so they're gonna come first. And the Cowboys, all they got to do is not fuck up, and I think they have it because they have a receiver core now because they picked up Allen Hurns. They got rid of Des Bryant, Mr. Drop Balls over there.
Jesus Christ.
The fucking offensive line is still the shit. They got one of the best running backs in the league, and even if he didn't, anybody could run behind that line.
Overrated.
What, the running back or the offensive line?
Not Zeke. Zeke and the O-line are overrated.
Yeah.
One who's overrated
I think
is fucking Dak Prescott.
Who are we looking at quarterback?
No, Dak. Okay, so Dak Prescott. Think about him. Okay, so he's brand new. He's brand new to the league. He's second or third year in.
Third year in the league.
Third year in the league. He's not taking chances down the field. That's why Des Bryant got pissed off because Des Bryant isn't an East Coast like offense type of receiver.
West Coast.
Or West Coast. Sorry. Fuck. Too much drinking. West Coast offense type, but that's why you're here. That's why I brought you here. Anyway, so yes, he's not a West Coast offense type of receiver. He's looking for the long ball. He isn't for like the short like drive routes and everything like that. So but I don't think Dak is ever going to be that kind of quarterback. I think he's going to be like a Russell Wilson type of quarterback where he's going to manage the ball well. He's going to run it well. And that's why he even said, he's like, I don't think we need a number one wide receiver. We just need to spread it around. And I need to be better. And I think they got their guy in Dak Prescott. I think they do. I think they got their running back. They got their offensive line. They just need to do well.
I don't know. I mean, what I saw from this last season, I think Dak relied too much on Zeke, and that's why his throwing game wasn't there. He was really more reliable on Zeke, just handing it off and just giving it to run.
I think you're going to see Dak Prescott take a similar road that other kind of quarterbacks that like him have taken, which is that people don't know how to play against him his rookie season. Then people spend an offseason watching tape and they shut him down.
RG3 version 2?
Yes. So that was exactly my point, is that he's got to be able to learn to sit in the pocket and make the throw. And there was a reason he was a 6th-round draft pick. There was a reason why people thought he couldn't do that to begin with. And I think you're going to see him be the weak point on this team. And when your quarterback is a weak point, that's never a good place to start. It's happened that those teams win the Super Bowl, but they have everything else down, and they don't have the defense that they used to have. Sean Lee is hurt all the fucking time, and he's their best defensive player. So it's kind of hard to get behind the Cowboys at this point, I think.
I just want to point out that Tom Brady was also a 6th-round draft pick.
Yeah, well,
yes, and then he came in and immediately dominated. So it's a little bit different.
He deflates balls.
Just a little bit, not like a whole lot. All right.
I can't respect Tom Brady, honestly.
Damn. Is it because
You
he
can't respect the greatest quarterback of all time.
Is it because he
He
made
is
commercials
not
with
the
Papa
GOAT.
John's?
Yes, he is the GOAT.
you
How
know,
is he
he's
not
not.
the
He
GOAT?
has more rings, and he did it himself.
Hold on. So,
No. He did not.
So
We got time. We got time for this. Go ahead. We got time for this.
Really?
Go
We're
ahead.
gonna-
Yeah.
we're
We're
gonna go
fucking
into this?
So,
hash
okay.
this out.
Tom Brady is the GOAT. First of all, there's 2 ways you measure a championship because it's the only reason people shit on LeBron James all the time. They shit on LeBron James because he doesn't have as many rings as Michael Jordan.
Or Kobe.
Or Kobe. But LeBron James, in my opinion, is a better player than both of them. You can build.
Joe Montana never had to come back from a fucking deficit ever, so I think Joe Montana is better
Joe
than
Montana or Steve Young?
Joe Montana. Just
Joe
kidding.
Montana.
I think that's misguided. Your defense has nothing to do with your quarterback. So if they're allowing 28 points in the Super Bowl, and your offense isn't going, and then to be able, for me, it's a simple analogy. Look at it in terms of like bravery. If you're not afraid of something, like let's say a burning building, you're not afraid of fire, and you run into the fire. While it's commendable, it's not brave because you're not afraid of it.
But he doesn't run.
Someone who is afraid of that burning fire and runs into it, that's a brave person. Tom Brady has faced adversity, has faced having no receivers, has faced having no talent around him, and still managed to win Super Bowls and has won more Super Bowls than anybody in the history of time.
Yeah,
Exactly.
but
But he
that's a
doesn't
bad
run.
analogy. I mean, just running into a burning building.
But he doesn't run.
That's a great analogy. I'm
That's
with him
a
on this
bad
one.
He-
'cause I agree
He
with this
does
point.
not run.
He picked up the building and fucking threw it into the water.
He fucking falls whenever there's
so
a
if
difference.
Tom Brady is not the GOAT in your opinion, then who is?
Don't
say Peyton Manning.
No. I personally, I can't say there is a greatest of all time.
So it's Tom Brady.
I mean, no, hold on. You can't knock one down without putting up a substitute.
It's not Peyton Manning because Peyton Manning is shit.
Clearly, you have certain standards.
No, I'm not gonna say Peyton Manning. But, if I'm going to name anybody of greatest of all time, then I'm going to name Terry Bradshaw. Just he did it all himself.
The Steelers fan is naming Terry Bradshaw. Surprise.
Do you realize that there's a list going around the internet? No, there's a list on the internet. Top 10 quarterbacks who are shitty and have have multiple Super Bowl rings, and he's on that list. He's on that list. He's a shitty quarterback who had a great team around him.
What are you reading, Fox News?
No. These are fucking facts. Terry Bradshaw could not have won those Super Bowls by himself.
No, he had Franco fucking Harris and Lynn Swann.
Yeah, he did.
And the Steel Curtain.
Terry Bradshaw, what the fuck? What the fuck?
Get the fuck out of here with you and your Dallas Cowboys.
If anybody's even close, like you're looking at quarterbacks who even are close to Tom Brady, you are looking at Joe Montana for me personally.
Yeah,
you're looking at Roger Staubach. You're looking at Peyton Manning, even though they played in the same era. Is for me a generational kind of talent.
I just think Peyton Manning Peyton Manning is the greatest regular season quarterback of all time.
Yeah, absolutely. And for me, they were almost equally as talented, except Brady has that fucking clutch gene, man.
Yep.
He just finishes. And that's important. It's important.
Sorry, man, but think about
the
best receiver Tom Brady has ever had, I think, was Randy Moss. Randy Moss. But after that, I mean, there was really nobody.
And he won a Super Bowl with receivers that you can't even name. There is a Super Bowl that he's won where he didn't. One of the Super Bowls he had Randy Moss and he had Wes Welker on the same team.
Are you talking about the 04 fucking?
Okay, but before that he had fucking nobody. He had nobody, and he still won.
Yeah, you're right.
And Corey Dillon was their running back. I bet you can't even name who Corey Dillon played before he played for the Patriots.
Honestly, I just despise Tom Brady with all my heart. I really do.
And this is why I picked the Cowboys as my team, because everybody hates them, and we have something to talk about.
No, I mean, I can respect almost every fucking team in the NFL, but I cannot respect Tom Brady at all.
Fuck, I should have picked the Patriots. What the fuck was I thinking?
Anyway, look, we had a good time today. It was all good. We'll learn a little something. We shared a little something. And if you like this and you like what we're doing and you want to see this going forward, give us a like, subscribe, rate, all that good stuff. Give us 5 stars. Next time, we're going to talk about what you need to know to get that fantasy football team on point.
Ooh. That's for the football half. But however, remember the Premier League starts this week. So each one of you motherfuckers better watch your team. I know Josh is, so I ain't talking to him. Talking to you guys.
Man, we got this.
I'm going to be watching Arsenal too, because honestly, why would you not? So if you're new to soccer, if you're new to actual football, just go ahead and give it a watch.
You know what?
Randomly pick a team like
if your
Darren
team loses
on color like your
you take a
girlfriend
shot.
does.
How about that?
Go for that.
And also for future reference, any hockey fans out there, look out. Look out.
Stars.
We'll be covering hockey. Once the hockey season starts.
Friday will be the first Premier League game of the season. You'll have Leicester City against Manchester United. So it's 2 people at the table will have their teams go against each other.
Go.
And then you've got a bunch of games Saturday and games Sunday. Some of them start really early, but some of them, it's nighttime over there when it's about noon over here. So if you can get up by noon on a Saturday or Sunday, I want to
say Leicester City is 1 o'clock on Friday.
I can tell you exactly right now.
Also, this is 2018, so most games are available at all times, even recorded, so you can watch them shits whenever you want.
I mean, yeah, but you also have social media, so they might ruin the score for you. So if you want to watch it live, as it's happening,
on our social media is going to ruin the score for a Wolfen. Goddamn.
yeah, get out of here. So
Manchester, I wonder right now.
Wolverhampton Wanderer.
Just call them Wolves, please.
The Wolves.
You can remember that.
Yeah, no one's gonna ever watch the Wolves. But anyway,
no, just pick a new team.
I'll watch Wolves.
No one knows that team. No one cares for that team.
So Manchester United versus Leicester next Sunday on. I mean,
Friday.
Yeah, Friday.
Friday at 1, right?
At 1.
They'll open the season to next or this coming week.
Oh yeah. What are you doing? You want to go watch it together at a bar somewhere?
I mean, yeah, I'm down.
Let's have a drink.
I'm always down to always go to a bar.
Nice. All right.
And you know what? At home, if you pick your own team and you let us know, we'll talk about them. I know we can talk about West Ham. There's a lot of West Ham fans everywhere because of Green Street Hooligans.
It's West Ham.
we don't have a Liverpool fan at the table, so it'd be great to have a Liverpool fan.
You know what? I'm not gonna lie to you. I wanted to go Liverpool because they play
You'll never walk
beautifully,
alone.
man. They play beautifully, but I figured it's time to give an underdog a bit of a chance, right?
Yeah, no, I get it.
And why don't we change Darren over to Blackburn?
Blackburn is a championship team. They're not in the Premier League.
Hello, I chose my motherfucking team because
So he wouldn't.
Wolves.
They're in a
It's
completely.
just
They're in the
fucking
second tier of
Wolves.
football, so they wouldn't be like playing any of us.
Then I misspoke. I'm sorry.
Nobody chooses my team except me, motherfucker.
Damn.
But yeah, so we don't have a Liverpool fan. That'd be great. And if you're a shit team fan, fucking Spuds, please don't ever contact us. What do we think of Tottenham?
Write the email, but make sure you hit trash.
And what do we think of
If
shit?
this podcast lasts more than a year and Wolfham gets delegated to the sorry.
Wow. We
Hey,
actually have a
This is the
filter.
first one. And if they get delegated to Division 2 next year, then I'm gonna have to pick a different fucking team anyway. So
Yep.
that's what's up.
That's balls for the walls in you.
Balls to the walls.
All right. Thank you for joining us today.
So thank you for watching, viewing.
No. God
Listening.
Oh, my God.
Cut him off. Cut him off.
Thank
Cut
you
him
for
off.
viewing in the fourth dimension.
I mean, hold on.
Balls to the Wall podcast.
He's a Dallas Cowboy fan, guys. Just let him have it.
Oh yeah, I get it. I get it.
And here it goes.
The helmet he wears all the time is not because he likes football. It's because he needs to wear a helmet just in case.
But
It's a special helmet.
my helmet has a lightning bolt because I really like lightning.
You might as well just start the podcast with like, hey, you guys.
Okay, I guess we're making some special ed people here on the podcast.
So next week the Premier League starts. We'll have some fantasy football stuff for you, and
There'll be orcs, dragons, dwarfs, and stuff. Tune in.
That's a total negative. But yes, we'll see you next time on Balls to the Wall. Oh, no, what is it?
Hey.
All right, see
Working.
you next time. Later. Cheers and good night.
Cheers and good night.
Cheers, good night.
And tribulations. Refinement from cultivation takes patience. I'm waiting. Paper chasing to get a place like Peyton. Politicking, innovation, business.